it's Spurs. It's the race for top four. They lost at home to Bournemouth 3-2, and it was shambolic, I think it's fair to say.
That's being polite.
Really?
Yeah, that's being polite.
Yeah. In the 88th minute, you get an equaliser.
From a player that we don't play often, by the way.
And you still manage to lose in the 95th minute, man.
Yeah.
How does that even...
Great goal, that was great goal.
Do you know what? This is going to sound mad, right? I was disappointed, obviously, because we equalise and we are in a race for top four, but there's a part of me that's like, I know how badly Daniel Levy wants top four. I think he wants it more than the fans do for financial reasons. And I'm like, if we don't get it, there's a part of me that's like happy because he won't be happy. So I want to be in it. I want to be in it as a fan. I want to see Tottenham play Champions League. Obviously, it's the best competition in the world, but I know there's a bigger thing going on there with him.
Dude, I've been there. When Mike Ashley, when Newcastle got relegated, I remember thinking, like, your assets depreciating because you've starved it. And
yeah,
like, fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look how everything's run. Like, it's an absolute shit show at the moment. And I'm like, if we don't get, like, he's weighed up the Conte situation and he's like, all right, well, because that's what they do, innit? They think in business. They're not trying not to think with emotions. They're trying to be pragmatic and they're trying to really look at things. And he's like, all right, you know, we'll get Conte, but we'll keep Stellini. All right, that makes absolutely no sense. Like I said, our former director of football is a criminal, an actual criminal in Italy.
Wow.
Like Harry Kane, we don't know the future of him. And then we've got a bunch of players that are just completely past it, like Hugo Lloris, great servant, great, right, World Cup, you know, winner, captain, cool. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And the fact that we dropped points, I wasn't upset.
Can I ask you about the Sanchez moment where he's brought on, he's subbed off? I've not seen many footballers, when a camera cuts to them on the bench, look more heartbroken. Like, and I didn't see the full game, but I felt for him. I was like, oh.
I felt for him.
He looked gutted.
I think he must be an incredible human being. Never actually met the guy. I think he is horrible as a football player. I'm just being honest. That's my opinion. This is nothing to do with him as a person. I don't really like him as a football player. I think he's been poor for Spurs. He was supposed to be the guy alongside De Ligt at Ajax. We brought him in, and he hasn't shown any of it since he's been there.
It's just like systems, though.
No, because we've had multiple. He's been there since Pochettino days. He's not good enough, right? He's been under multiple managers and he hasn't been good enough. But anyway, that was harsh.
Yeah, you can't be doing that to players when.
And then he got booed by the home fans. That's just, I wouldn't have been there booing him. I think that's so bad.
How did you feel about that tackle, though? I mean, that tackle that he did was pretty shit, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was he came on, and then literally 4 minutes later, he was at fault for their goal.
Yeah.
He literally played them.
Literally, and then he's not a good player. But there's loads of players in our squad like him that need to actually move on. And if we keep getting these wins and sneaking into top four, Daniel Levy's going to go, I don't need to change anything.
The Champions League money is very important.
Yeah, it is. But like he said, we're making money in other avenues right here. Like our stadium's bringing in money. Free Beyonce nights at our stadium. That's bread. Don't get it twisted.
Okay, so obviously I've got a vested interest in this because Newcastle battling with Spurs. It looks like Man United get third and then it's between us and Spurs. Watching that game, and we'd actually just had a terrible game against West Ham, but your team looked terrible, and it just made me think, like,
maybe
we're not dropping out of top four if this is our competition here.
Yeah. Is that how you're feeling?
Well, you're not lost. We should have capitalised on that. That's what made it even worse.
Like, are you feeling about it? You feel confident?
Newcastle had the worst performance we've had under Eddie Howe, and yet I'm like, that's one bad game. That's not a big deal. Like, we are much more consistent than Spurs, and mentally they look so weak. Like, I was watching the way they didn't battle for the ball. Obviously, like, there's things like passes and whatever that can go wrong, but it was just a lack of fight. Harry Kane must be mentally 1 foot out the door at this point. Yeah. And I wasn't even, do you know how I was almost like, yeah, we're definitely taking top four. And also, Spurs, they're going to lose Harry Kane this summer, and then they're going to drop like a stone in that league.
Is that confirmed? Like, is that going to happen this summer?
It's not going to renew. It's very unlikely he's going to renew. He has a year left.
And he's still playing at the high. Like, he's got like 22, 23 goals in the league in a struggling Spurs. Yeah. Without him, we'd be 12th.
You're watching an awful side with a star man. And you're like, bro, you'd be insane to stay here. There's no way he stays now. He goes, but not just that. Spurs then drop 3, 4, 5 places.
You reckon?
Yeah, Mate, what about this team that I'm watching tells me that without Harry Kane, and this is the thing that people don't understand, is Newcastle have got 3 players in our squad who've got 10 goals in the league this season. Like, our goals are filtered out throughout the squad. Spurs are so reliant on this guy. You pluck him out, they are going...
But that could also be the problem as well. Don't get it twisted, you're right. And I just said, without Harry Kane's goals this season, we'd be probably below Chelsea. That's how bad it is.
But can Son step up?
However, forget Son, because Son looks like he's on the decline anyway. He's 30, 31. His best years are probably behind him.
Yeah.
My thing is, our system and everything since Kane has been there has been kind of geared towards Harry Kane. Maybe not since Pochettino when we had Dele Alli, Ericsson, but we haven't been playing with a number 10. Number 10s are kind of going out of fashion a bit, right?
Yeah.
We need to kind of rebuild and figure out a way anyway as a club, because Harry Kane, regardless, even if we keep him, he's not going to be there for the long term. There will be a day where Harry Kane is not playing for Spurs, whether he signs a new deal or not. So we need to kind of figure that out.
Yeah, it's not being figured out by Daniel Levy at all. And the fact that you chop and change managers as much as you are, like Daniel Levy, all his chickens are coming home to roost. Because you guys are going to lose out on Champions League football, in my opinion, that is going to make it so much harder to attract that level of player when you've got other projects.
I feel like sometimes those things make you focus. Like, I feel like when Arsenal went out of the league a little bit, it's like it's still a great club, which is slightly different to Tottenham. But like, I feel like it's harder.
Wait, what?
It's harder.
Why are you sliding?
So
It's a great club. What are you talking about?
It's harder to like sometimes feel like you're competing and pull a team together than it is if you're just like you're out of it and you just start focusing on actually the culture of the club. Because I think for Arsenal the big difference was the attitude shift. When we were in the top 4, it was like we still need a top player. We need to sign Ozil and Aubameyang and Lacazette, and none of these pieces made sense.
I hear your point. It's got to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
But the problem is that was in an era pre the amount of sharks in the tank now. Like with Newcastle and Chelsea being hyper aggressive financially, with Arsenal now having a great side, and then Man United, Man City, potentially if Liverpool can pull things together. I just think when I'm looking at Spurs and you look at Brentford and teams
Brighton.
like Brighton,
yeah.
I just feel like it's a good bet to say Spurs drop next season into mid-table mediocrity.
Definitely. I think they're about to go through...
Mid-table?
You're about to go through...
Doing a Chelsea, you know?
Bro, if you take 22 goals out of your goals for in the league table,
You won't be
bro, mid-table be good.
You're Crystal Palace.
Now, obviously, you'll replace them, but there is no way you're going like...
No, we still got better. Wait, let me be clear. Let me be clear. Kulusevski, Bentancur, Højbjerg. No, then mid-table teams. Come on, man, don't do that.
Who's your star guy then?
Yeah.
Who's the guy who steps up?
Normally it would be Son.
So
because Son got golden boot last year.
Fair enough.
He's had a poor season.
Do you trust your recruitment then to replace Kane the right way? Or
That's
is it
the
going to be
problem.
like...
They don't have a recruitment.
We don't even have our recruit.
He's in jail.
He's not in jail. But yeah, we don't have a
If you
recruit.
look at the league table, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the form that Aston Villa are in right now, right?
We've still got better players than them, though. Outside of Harry Kane.
Ollie Watkins will score more goals than anyone in your team without Harry Kane.
Villa are going to finish above Spurs. Simple as
next
Who?
Yeah.
Villa.
Next season.
Next season, allow it. Our players are still better than them. We just need a good manager and a couple more signings. Dan Juma hasn't even been given a chance and he scored yesterday.
I'm sorry, but like I'm looking beneath you in the league here, going Villa, Brighton, Liverpool, Brentford, Chelsea. They're all threats to you, and then you don't know who.
No, you're right. They are, but I still think we have better players on average in our squad than that team.
If you pluck Harry Kane out of that team, and you look at with Harry Kane, you've lost 10 games this season. In beneath you, you're looking at Brighton have lost 8, Liverpool lost 9, Brentford lost 8. What Harry Kane does is he turns losses into draws into wins.
Does.
He's that much of a difference maker. This is going to be mega when you lose him. And I don't have any faith in Spurs after previous transfer
the Bell money.
that they're going to go with that money.
That was ages ago.
Thing.
It's not only that, though. They're going to lose Kane, then they're going to be in the Europa League, then they've got to rebuild basically an entire squad. Like you've got.
That's what we've done, though. That's all we've ever done. We've been in Europa League, then Champions League, then Europa League 3 years, then Champions League. That's what we do.
We're going through a transition right now. I'm telling you, it's going to be really, really difficult.
I'm not saying,
especially when you've got to get a new manager, you've got to get a new striker, then you've got to get 2
I'm not
new
saying it
number
won't,
10s,
but
'cause Son isn't
mid-table
good enough.
mediocrity? Nah, no way. No way. Not with that stadium. No way. Not happening. Not happening.
The Beyonce gigs.
Not happening. There's no mid-table mediocrity.
Tom Brady's going to be fucking great for Spurs.
It's not happening. Even these lot, they weren't in the... How long were you lot not in the Champions League for? Like 6-7 years?
Yeah, 6-7 years.
You can always pull it back. With the right recruitment, the right manager, the right philosophies, you can pull it back.
You've got to do an Arsenal now. You've got to learn from us now. You got to do what we did.
We
have
didn't
to
learn from you.
No, because
we did it
the
before
point
you
is-
with Pochettino. What are you
Let-
talking
let-
about?
no.
And what you win?
Nothing.
There you go.
Yeah, but have you won the league
No,
yet?
but the point is you did it and you won nothing.
But have you won the league yet?
No, but we won something. We won the FA Cup.
Yeah, but you can't attribute that
No,
to Arteta. He came in halfway through the season and
he won the FA Cup as
yeah,
well.
I know, but Aubameyang basically
My
won you that,
point is
not
this,
him.
Right, what you need to do is scrap the whole world-class players, big name players.
Yeah.
Do what we did with Ramsdale and Ben White. No one expected Ramsdale to be what he is.
I
now.
agree.
And do that. So you got to learn from Arsenal.
But that's
scrap
not from
properly.
you. There's other teams that have done that.
Oh,
it's
who
just
else? Who else?
but in football, you're saying you're the first in the history
No,
of
my
football
point
that's
is,
ever gone and
in
got young
recent
players and won
examples-
something.
In recent examples, we were one of the first teams that dropped out of the top 4, scrapped the players,
Yeah.
started over again, and now look where we are.
By the way, it's never just scrap the players. We released.
There you go.
Yeah.
80%
But I'm
of
not
the
saying you
players
didn't do
for free.
it. I'm saying you did do it.
Okay.
I'm saying we're not
That's
learning
not
from you.
smart.
You're not
I-
pioneers.
I-
You're acting like you're
We'll give you
pioneers.
some
Like
tips, don't worry.
you
We'll send you some
trailblazed
tips
it or
on that.
something.
Just
I
let us know,
agree
we'll give
with
some
Craig
tips.
in that it could be done. I just don't see it happening quickly. I think you lose Harry Kane, then you have to think what manager wants to come in and take over this team without Harry Kane, and there's going to have to take. You're going to have a bit of patience.
Lampard.
And it's going to.
Brian, don't you understand that in the
Bruce available?
next 5-6
Brutal.
years, that's going to happen even if Kane stays.
that's what I'm saying.
We're going to get to that point anyway.
My point is just about next season. It's not about the long term. Spurs are going to be a big club for a long time and they could come back. You need the right manager and you need someone who knows how to buy the right players. I don't personally see that Spurs team having the right type of investment and I don't...
And whose fault is that? Whose fault is it?
No, but-
Exactly. And
Whose fault is it? Whose fault is it?
Daniel Levy.
There we
and
go.
he's still going to be there next
Yeah,
season. And that's
exactly.
why I'm
He needs to
saying
sell up.
that next season, when you get all that money for Kane, whatever it ends up being, which is not going to be what it was, you're going to have the right investment.
Please.
I don't believe that's going to happen.
Please look at that.
mid-table.
Just look at that top 10 table at 10, top 10 of the table,
Yeah.
and tell me who in there do you fear for the most? Who out there has the least organisation, the worst players? It's Tottenham.
Villa are the only team that have lost more games than Spurs in the top 10. And bearing in mind, they sacked Gerrard for being in the relegation scrap. So since they got taken over...
Don't have a manager. You're going to be in the Europa League and you're going to lose Kane. That is
I don't want the Europa League.
terrifying.
If we don't get top 4, I don't even want to be in the Europa League.
What about Conference League?
None of them.
Yeah.